I thought I'd found peace at last. After everything, my divorce, my health scare, the silence that followed me like a shadow, I thought I was finally safe. She said I made her feel calm, like she could breathe when I was near, and I believed her. I believed every soft word, every gentle touch, every time she wiped my brow and told me I was strong. I let myself believe her hands were healing something in me that medicine couldn't reach, but now I wonder if all I really wanted was someone, anyone, to hold me while I faded, someone to sit beside me as the years caught up and the world moved on. I wanted tenderness. I got something else. This isn't a love story. It never was. It's something messier, something I can't even explain without my voice shaking. But I'm going to try, because if I don't tell it now, it'll rot a hole in my chest I won't come back from. The first thing I noticed was the hum of the ceiling fan. I was lying in a bed I didn't remember walking into, and my left arm felt like it belonged to someone else. A stroke, they said. A small one. My daughter had handled everything from back in Ohio. I was too tired to argue, too tired to care. The room was bright, but not harsh, and the smell was clean, not like hospitals in the States. Just as I tried to sit up, the door creaked open. "Good morning, Mr. John," a soft voice said. I turned my head and saw her. Small frame, white uniform, dark hair tied back neat. Her name tag said Nietzsche. She came over and adjusted my pillow. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded, not really knowing what okay meant anymore. Then she dipped a cloth into a silver bowl and pressed it gently to my forehead. That was the first time she touched me, and I swear something cracked open in me. "I'm just here to help you relax," she said. "Your body needs rest." I couldn't stop staring at her eyes. I must have looked pathetic, an old farang slumped in a hospital bed, hooked up and half numb. But she didn't look away. "Thank you," I mumbled. "You don't have to thank me," she smiled. "You are my patient. I take care of you." I hadn't felt taken care of in years, not since my wife left, not since the silence filled my house. "Are you always this kind to strangers?" I asked. She laughed, short and sweet. "Only the nice ones. Some old men here like to shout." I grinned. It felt foreign on my face. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded cloth pouch. "This is lemongrass oil. I use it when my mother gets headaches. Do you mind?" I nodded. She gently rubbed a few drops behind my ears, the scent sharp and calming. "Where's your family?" she asked softly. "In the States," I said. "One daughter. She worries too much." Nietzsche nodded slowly. "Good daughter. Worry means love." I didn't answer. I was afraid if I spoke again, I'd cry. Instead, I let the silence sit between us like something sacred. She finished adjusting the monitors and stood to leave. "I'll come back later," she said. "You ring bell if feel dizzy, okay?" I watched her walk out and closed the door quietly behind her. I stared at the fan again, but I didn't feel numb anymore, not entirely. I wasn't sure what just happened, but for the first time since I landed in Thailand, I didn't feel invisible. That touch, that voice, it wasn't just medicine. It was something I didn't even know I was missing. I lay there with the scent of lemongrass on my skin, wondering how someone so small could make the whole room feel warm. The first time she called me Papa, I chuckled like an idiot. I said, "You trying to make me feel older or younger?" And she grinned and said, "Both, maybe." She started using it more after that. "Papa, drink tea," or "Papa, you walk too fast." It was playful, soft, and somehow it made me feel chosen. One afternoon, she brought me a second cup of chrysanthemum tea without me asking. I said, "Are you spoiling me now?" And she just laughed. Only good farang get 2 cups. We were sitting in the garden behind the clinic, under a tree I never learned the name of. The sun hit her hair just right, and I forgot my body was still weak. "You like Thailand?" she asked. "I do now," I said. "Before, I was just drifting." She tilted her head. "What is drifting?" I looked away. "Just means you're not anchored to anything." She was quiet for a moment. "You have family?" I nodded. One daughter. We don't talk much. She didn't ask why. Instead, she said, maybe Thailand is better for you now. I didn't answer, but something in my chest tightened. I wasn't used to anyone asking me about myself without an agenda. Later that day, when I was being discharged, she walked me to the lobby. You go home alone? She asked. Yeah, I said. She hesitated, then pulled out a little notepad and scribbled her number. You call if need help, anything, okay? I took the paper and said, You always give your number to old American patients? She smirked. Only the stubborn ones. That night, I stared at that number for a long time. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. I held the paper like it was something sacred. My phone sat beside it. Every few minutes I'd pick it up, then put it down again. Finally, around midnight, I typed, Hi, Nietzsche. This is John. Just wanted to say thank you for today. I hit send and felt like a fool. My thumb hovered over the screen. A minute passed, then 2, then the 3 dots appeared. You are welcome, Papa. Sleep good. That was it. Simple. But I felt something shift inside me. Someone cared if I slept well. I hadn't had that in years. I turned off the light, pulled the sheet up to my chin, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't dread the silence. I welcomed it. Because now the silence wasn't empty. It was waiting for something. Or someone. Our first dinner outside the hospital was quiet, a small noodle shop tucked between 2 shops near the Ping River. She picked it. Local place, she said. No farang price. I laughed. So I'm officially not a tourist anymore? She stirred her soup. You are something different. I watched her hands, the way she tore her basil leaves one by one and placed them gently into the bowl. She didn't speak much, but when she did, it landed right in my chest. After dinner, we walked through a nearby night market. She held my arm, not tightly, just enough to let me know she was there. I asked her, You always work so late? She nodded. Double shift. My mom need medicine. I try to help her. I wanted to ask more, but something in her voice stopped me. She never played the victim. You ever get tired? I said. Yes, she smiled. But I don't complain. Tired means I'm alive. That night I couldn't stop thinking about her voice. It wasn't just sweet. It was steady. Like someone who'd carried more than her share of weight. Over the next few weeks we started meeting more. Quiet lunches, small temples. She'd bring me cut fruit in little plastic bags, or show me where the monks fed the birds. You like simple things, I said once. Expensive things bring trouble, she replied. Better to eat rice and laugh than steak and fight. One evening, I noticed she looked pale. I asked, You sleeping enough? She shook her head. Sometimes no time. Rent go up. I move soon. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. I didn't even think. I just said, There's an empty place near my building. Same owner. I can speak to him if you want. She looked unsure. Too much money. Let me help, I said. It's not a gift, just easier if you're close by. She hesitated. Only if you are sure. I am, I said. But I wasn't just trying to make things easier. I wanted her near. I wanted to know she was safe, that she wasn't walking home alone after midnight shifts. I told myself it was about care, not control. But deep down, I already knew. I was falling. Hard. The night she moved in, I helped carry boxes, just a few bags and a rice cooker. That was it. No clutter, no games. When I handed her the spare key, she looked at me and said, You are kind, Papa. I never meet man like you. I didn't know what to say. I just nodded and smiled like a fool. Later, back in my apartment, I sat on the balcony with a beer I didn't finish. I stared at the city lights and felt something I hadn't felt in decades. Hope. Not the loud kind. The quiet, careful kind. The kind you don't say out loud because you're scared it might disappear. I found the ring at a market stall near Wararat. It wasn't gold or anything fancy. Just a silver band with a tiny blue stone that reminded me of her scrubs. I held it in my hand for nearly 20 minutes before buying it. It wasn't a proposal. It wasn't even a promise. Just something to say, I see you. I waited until our dinner at the little place by the river, the one with the wooden chairs that leaned just enough to make you feel like you might fall. After we finished eating, I slid the small box across the table. For you, I said. She looked confused. What is this? Open it. She lifted the lid slowly, and when she saw it, her face crumpled. She didn't smile. She cried. Why you give me this? She whispered. Because I wanted to, I said. You've done more for me than anyone in years. She shook her head, wiping her cheek. Nobody ever give me ring. Nobody see me. I reached across the table and took her hand. I see you. She didn't let go. That night, she stayed over for the first time. She didn't bring a bag or change of clothes. She just slipped off her shoes and sat on the edge of my bed like it was the most natural thing in the world. You okay? I asked. She nodded. Just tired. I didn't touch her. I didn't even try. She crawled under the covers and reached for my hand. That's how we fell asleep, her fingers wrapped around mine like an anchor. I lay there for hours listening to her breathe, wondering how something so simple could feel so sacred. In the morning, she made me black coffee and left before sunrise. Work, she said softly. Don't miss me too much. I laughed, but after the door closed, the apartment felt too quiet again. I sat with my coffee and opened my laptop. I started looking up visa options. Long stay paperwork, dependent allowances, cohabitation forms. I wasn't planning anything drastic yet, just preparing, just in case. A week later, I brought it up gently. You ever think about staying in one place? She raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Like if someone helped make it easier, like maybe including you in some paperwork, visa stuff? She blinked. You'd do that for me? Maybe, I said, if it felt right. She didn't answer right away. Then she leaned over and kissed my cheek. You are a good man, Papa. I told myself not to read too much into it. But I did. Of course I did. That's what you do when you're all in. When you think maybe, just maybe, you've found something that doesn't vanish when the sun comes up. I stopped checking my return flight. I started imagining what it would look like to stay. For real. With her. The ring stayed on her finger. She never took it off, and every time she called me Papa, I felt something settle in me, like peace, like home. I didn't know it yet, but that night, her hand in mine, the soft click of the ring on her finger, that was the last time I felt completely safe. It started with a pill bottle. My blood pressure meds were short, 3, maybe 4 tablets missing. I kept them in the cabinet above the sink, always lined up neatly. I stared at the shelf for a long time, trying to convince myself I'd miscounted. Maybe I dropped one. Maybe I took extras without thinking. But that wasn't the only thing. A few days later, I noticed my wallet felt thinner. I checked the bills. 1,000 baht gone. Then it happened again. And then I found my bank passbook, not in the drawer where I always kept it, but under a stack of receipts near the rice cooker. I sat down hard, my knees giving a little. I stared at the booklet like it might speak first. When Nietzsche came over that evening, I waited until after dinner. She was washing dishes when I finally said, "Did you move my passbook?" She paused, then nodded. "I clean table. I see many papers. I try to help you organize." Her voice was calm, almost hurt. "And the meds?" I asked. "Some of my pills are missing." She turned off the tap and wiped her hands. "I think maybe you take and forget. You forget sometimes, Papa." "And the money?" I asked. She blinked. "What money?" "From my wallet. It's not a lot, but—" "You count money with me now?" she said, her tone low. "I just asked," I said. "It's not about the money. It's just, things are being moved. I didn't notice it before." Her lips trembled. "You think I steal from you?" I didn't say that. "You don't trust me," she whispered. Her eyes filled fast, and I felt like I'd kicked a child. "No, that's not. Look, I just want to understand what's happening." She sat down across from me and folded her hands in her lap. You give me key. You say I am like family, and now you test me like stranger. I opened my mouth, then closed it. I didn't know what to say. She leaned in, her voice barely a breath. Do you not trust me anymore? I looked at her, at the ring I gave her, at the way her eyes shimmered just enough to gut me. I felt something twist inside me, sharp and sudden. Of course I trust you, I said. I'm just old. I forget things. Maybe it's nothing. Her expression softened. You have stroke. You need rest, not worry. She reached across the table and took my hand. I take care of you. I don't want anything. I nodded slowly. But that night, as I brushed my teeth, I counted my pills again. They were right this time. Or maybe I'd miscounted before. I stood in the bathroom for almost 10 minutes, staring at myself in the mirror, trying to remember if I was the one losing control, or if she was just better at hiding things than I was at finding them. But every time I doubted, she said the same thing. You don't trust me? And every time, I gave in. Because I wanted to believe her. I needed to. Because if she wasn't who I thought she was, then what did that make me? I was walking up the stairs to her building when I saw him, leaning against the wall outside her door, arms crossed, phone in his hand. He was younger, maybe late 20s, with a gold chain and a smug kind of stillness. He didn't look up until I reached the top step. I nodded. You waiting for someone? He said nothing, just stared. I knocked on her door. Nietzsche? No answer. I knocked again. It's me. She opened it a crack, eyes wide. You come now? I was in the area, I said. Who's he? She glanced past me. He's my cousin. He come to bring money. Help me send to Mama. I looked at the man again. He wasn't looking at her. He was watching me. You never mentioned a cousin before. You never ask. She smiled, weakly. He not stay. Just quick visit. I didn't push. I wanted to, but something in me hesitated. Maybe I didn't want to hear the answer. You coming over tonight? I asked. I miss you. Too tired, she said. Double shift. I sleep early. I nodded and turned, the man still staring as I walked away. My heart was tight in my chest. That night, I sat on my couch and opened my laptop. I searched her name on Facebook, the one she gave me when we first started messaging. I'd never looked closely. I should have. A different name came up, similar profile picture, same eyes. But this one had more photos. One was from 2 weeks ago, her sitting at a table with the same man, his hand on her shoulder. The caption was in Thai, but the comment that stopped my breath was his. My love. I stared at it until the screen blurred. I messaged her. Can you come over? No response. I tried again. I just want to talk. Nothing. An hour passed. Then 2. I walked outside, looked down the road, no lights in her window. I called, straight to voicemail. Around midnight, I sat back down, the ring on her finger flashing in my mind like a warning I never saw coming. I couldn't stop asking myself questions I didn't want the answers to. Had it all been fake? The tea, the touches, the papa? Or had I just wanted it so badly that I let myself believe? I waited until dawn, phone in hand, heart pounding every time it buzzed. But she never came, never called, and somewhere around the time the sun broke through my window, I knew I was done pretending. Something inside me cracked that night, not with a bang, but a quiet, splintering kind of break, the kind that takes a long time to finish falling. I went to her place just after sunset. I didn't call first. I didn't want to give her the chance to lie again. The hallway smelled like jasmine and fried garlic, same as always. Her light was on. I could see it bleeding out from the curtains. Her sandals were sitting neatly outside the door like they always were. I knocked once, then twice. Nisha? Nothing. I knocked again, harder this time. It's me. I just want to talk. No answer. My chest tightened. I leaned my ear against the door. No footsteps, no movement, just silence. Please, I said, don't do this. I deserve at least one answer. I knocked for 10 minutes, maybe more. A door down the hall creaked open and an older woman peeked out. She's not here anymore, she said. She left 2 nights ago. I turned toward her. What do you mean? Gone. Take her bags. She say bye-bye. The woman gave me a small nod, then closed the door again. I stood there staring at the wood like it might open if I just believed hard enough. I pulled a pen from my shirt pocket and scribbled a note on the back of a shopping receipt. Please call me. Please. I slid it under her door and left. The next day, I came back. The lights were still off. Another note. I'm not angry. I just need to know why. On the 3rd day, I didn't bother knocking. I just sat on the stairs for a while, listening to the buzz of a nearby air conditioner and trying not to fall apart. That night, my phone buzzed while I was brushing my teeth. It was from her. Just one message. I'm sorry. Please don't contact me again. I'm getting married. That's all it said. No name, no explanation, not even a goodbye. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. I read it again. Getting married. The words didn't make sense. Married to who? When? Was it him? The man in the hallway? Was it all planned from the start? I walked to the couch and sat down. My hands were shaking. I kept trying to breathe through it, but the air felt thick. I thought I'd cry, but I didn't. I didn't feel anything at first, just a heavy, ringing quiet in my head, like something important had been torn out, and now there was just space where it used to be. I stayed there for hours. No lights, no TV, no sound except the creak of the fan above me. I had given her everything I had left, and she walked out without turning around. 2 weeks passed without a word from Nietzsche. Not a call, not a message, nothing. Every morning I checked my phone before my feet hit the floor. Every night I stared at the screen like maybe she'd blink into my inbox. She didn't. And I stopped lying to myself. The silence wasn't a pause. It was her answer. One night I sat at the edge of the bed and scrolled to my daughter's name. I hadn't called her in months. Not really. Just short messages now and then. Check-ins, photos of temples. But this time I hit the green button. Dad? She said. Everything okay? I didn't answer right away. Then I said, I screwed up. She waited. I told her everything, how I met Nietzsche, how I let her in, how it all disappeared like it was never real. When I finished, I braced for it. I expected anger, or worse, pity. But she just said, Come home, Dad. My throat closed up. I'm not ready, I said. Not yet. Okay, she whispered. Just don't disappear, okay? I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Okay. After we hung up, I sat in the dark with tears I didn't bother wiping away. She didn't yell. She didn't say, I told you so. She just saw me. The next morning, I put on my shoes and walked to the little coffee stand near the park. I didn't look at my phone. I didn't wait for Nietzsche's voice in the wind. I just walked, slowly, alone. But for the first time in a while, I didn't feel like a ghost. I felt like a man trying to find his way back. I went back to the hospital on a Tuesday afternoon. The sun was low and the place looked the same. White walls, soft shoes squeaking on tile, nurses moving like shadows. I didn't go inside for any treatment. I just wanted to see the room. The one where she held my hand that first night. Where everything started. I walked past the nurse's station. Same smell, lemongrass and rubbing alcohol. One of the younger nurses smiled at me and asked, You need help? I shook my head. Just visiting. Used to be a patient. She nodded and went back to her chart. The hallway hadn't changed. The garden bench outside the window was still there. I sat down on it like I had 100 times before. I looked up at that window and thought about the way her fingers wrapped around mine. Not for passion, not for show, just quiet presence. I don't know if she ever loved me. Maybe she did in her own way, or maybe I was just another chapter in her life. a soft place to land between other storms. I used to ache for answers, used to replay our conversations, searching for clues I missed. But now, sitting on that bench with the sun warming my knees, I didn't need anything from her. Not an explanation, not forgiveness, just peace. Just the stillness that comes after a long noise finally stopped. I stood up and gave the garden one last look. Then I walked out the front doors without turning back. I still wake up alone. Same apartment. Same street noise in the morning. The same cup of chrysanthemum tea waiting on the stove. But I don't check my phone anymore. Not like I used to. I don't wait for her name to light up the screen. I don't scan the market crowds hoping to see her hair, her walk, that familiar uniform. I just live. Slowly. Quietly. And for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with that. Some mornings, I sit on the balcony and think about what I gave her. My trust, my softness, my time. I used to think she took something from me I'd never get back. But maybe that's not true. Maybe what she left behind is the only thing that really matters. After her, I saw myself. Not the man I used to be, not the one trying to fix everything with money or promises, just me. Tired, a little broken, but honest. That's more than I had before her. I still carry her ghost sometimes. When I pass the hospital. When I hear someone say Papa with that same teasing tone. But I don't follow it. I don't reach. I let it pass. Healing isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's just the moment you stop needing someone to prove you're worth loving. It's waking up alone and not feeling empty. Just alive. And maybe that's enough.